Hello, beautiful souls. Looks like I'm having some tech difficulties, so I don't think I'm streaming on Instagram. But let's go ahead and begin because it, for whatever reason, just will not connect and sync up. Oh, here we are. There we go. Now I'm live. All right. Welcome to your weekly dose of higher wisdom. And I chose to launch this weekly dose of higher wisdom to share excerpts from my recently birthed book, Somatophobia. So we're kicking off this weekly dose of higher wisdom with somatophobia, which translates as fear of the body. And that is my question that I have for you as you are enjoying this live. Are you afraid of feeling? And what I mean by that is truly dropping into your body and meeting all of the unhealed traumas, wounds, all the pain and symptoms that manifest, all the suppressed emotions. Are you afraid to feel all of that? Because in my own healing journey and as a chiropractor, I met somatophobia. I felt somatophobia underneath my hands. And in my own healing journey, I've met somatophobia up close and personal when I bump up against something that is desiring to be seen, to be heard, to be made conscious, to be felt, and to be healed. But it's scary as fuck because, ooh, the ego doesn't want to lose control and power over you. And that is truly where this fear of feeling originates from because the ego lives in the head. The ego does not live in the body. The ego is so afraid to drop into the body because it doesn't know what to do. The ego was actually created to serve us, but instead, it's our dictator. It controls us. And every time we give our power to fear, reasons, justifications, excuses, vices, addictions, coping mechanisms, defense systems, trauma reactions, whatever, what happens is that ego is getting bigger and bigger and bigger to the point that we are no longer embodied. And when I say we, I mean our higher self. Because as you will remember in today's book reading, this journey is a journey of embodiment. And embodiment truly is the coming home of your higher self, creating space in your temple body for your higher self to be embodied so you can live from your higher frequency, not living from your trauma self, which is the ego. So, without further ado, allow me to thank you for joining me in today's live and allow me to go ahead and guide you on this journey of meeting somatophobia, the fear of your body and the fear of feeling. Now, while you are listening to me share this passage from my book, I'll invite you to close your eyes. You don't need to see me and connect to your breath. Breath is the vehicle of your Shakti. So breathe. Just slow down your breath. Nice, long, slow inhales through your nose or mouth, and nice, long, slow exhales through your nose or mouth. This brings you into your body, connects you to feeling your breath flowing in and out of your body, allowing you to be present so that you can feel the words that I am sharing. Because somatophobia was written from a higher state of consciousness with the assistance of cannabis. So it is higher knowledge and wisdom that desires to be felt so that you can truly get it. Because you don't truly get something just by knowing it from the logical state of consciousness where your ego or your trauma self is active. You get it by truly feeling it in your body. So close your eyes, connect to your breath, and enjoy. Somatophobia is the real pandemic. Somato translates to mean relating to the body, distinct from the mind or soul. Phobia translates to mean an extreme or irrational fear of or aversion to something. Put those two words together, and you've got somatophobia, the real pandemic. The ultimate fear of the body and the potent feeling presence, Shakti, or your life force, that accompanies embodiment. The most popular synonym for the word embodied is alive. If you're not fully embodied, meaning if your higher self is not fully embodied, are you truly alive? And this is something that I am aware of and I speak about all of the time. We've been going through life with our eyes open, but we're not fully alive. We're walking dead. We're not alive. Being fully embodied is being fully alive. So just feel in for a moment. Are you truly alive? Do you know what it feels like to be fully alive, to be fully online and awake? Will Johnson coined the term somatophobia in the early 1980s to describe the mind-body split that is at the origin of all disease in humanity today. This mind-body split is not something new, though. This disconnection from our body and identification with our mind began around 4000 BC after the Great Drought. The body in all its instincts was revered as inferior, less than, animalistic, and having no value. The body had to be tamed and controlled by the superior mind. Which brings me to the main question of this introduction. How has the mind-body split been serving you? And this is where I oftentimes say that our center of gravity is in our head because the mind-body split has us living above our throats and necks. We're in our head. We're not in our body, which is where the majority of our life force, our Shakti, our inner healer, our feeling presence, and our innate intelligence is awaiting us. More importantly, how has your ego or your trauma self been serving you? Because the mind body split does not mean that you are functioning from the full capacity of your mind and are merely disconnected from your body. No, you are disconnected from both your mind and your body. Your ego is seated on the throne of your holy temple, dictating your life in an attempt to keep you safe. That was its sole purpose, to keep you safe. The original purpose of your ego was to serve you rather than control you, with the endless worst case scenarios, fear, negative self talk, and judgments that are stuck on repeat. Take a moment right now to think of one person you know who has mastered their mind, who does not give in to the fear, the useless chatter, the stories on repeat, or the limiting belief systems, and lives fully in their body, freely feeling everything, no limits to what they can feel, from the bottomless depths of their darkness and pains to the utmost heights of pleasure, bliss, and ecstasy. Someone who has achieved the greatest task for all meditators, to quiet the ego and to feel the body, the power to be conscious, present, and aware. Most people cannot think of a single person because very few humans have tapped into this power. Very few humans have become fully embodied, online, and awake. And that is one of the reasons that perpetuates this mind-body split pandemic. How so? Well, let's look at the legendary 4-minute mile. Up until 1954, when Roger Bannister completed a 3-minute and 59-second mile, humanity believed that running a mile in 4 minutes was impossible. Well, nobody's done it, therefore it's impossible. However, once this belief system was shattered, a new paradigm emerged, and the 4-minute mile was broken time after time. What this illustrates is that a once thought impossible endeavor can become possible as soon as you witness it. In witnessing it, you upgrade the chip in your subconscious mind that reads impossible to possible. But if all you're witnessing is people stuck in their mind and locked out of their body, then you'll think it's nearly impossible to return your mind to its original settings and reclaim your connection with your body. And I'm here to tell you that it's not impossible. It is possible. And I'll ask you, what if you stopped giving your power to this belief system, this program, that you have to see it to believe it? You have to witness it to know that it's possible. Where are you not stepping up, showing up, and being the trailblazer that goes, I'm here, I'm accomplishing it, I'm doing it, it's possible? Which means if it's possible for me, it is possible for you. And that is part of my gift to humanity. And writing this book is helping humanity to remember that healing this mind-body split, this real pandemic, coming home to your body and meeting all those deepest, darkest fears and pains and symptoms and everything that you're afraid of feeling, it's not so bad. It's not so scary. It's not so uncomfortable. It's not so painful. And what is on the other side is actually your higher self, your higher frequency, higher knowledge, higher wisdom, higher dimensions, multidimensional pleasure. All of that is awaiting you on the other side of this fear, this somatophobia. So I invite you to allow yourself to become a witness to what is truly possible and upgrade your chips by merely reading this book. Archaeology shows that our hunter-gatherer ancestors were much stronger and healthier than us. And one of the reasons for this was their impeccable ability to perceive the presence of spirit, their spirit, as well as the spirit force that pervades all living things. They were deeply rooted in their bodies, with the universe, and everyone and everything in it. They were deeply rooted and connected with the intricate awareness of their internal world, which connected them to this earth. As Peter Levine, a trauma specialist, so beautifully states it, in learning to identify and contact bodily sensations, we begin to fathom our instinctual reptilian roots. And without a clear connection to our instincts and feelings, we cannot feel our connection and sense of belonging to this earth, to a family, or anything else. The great disembodiment goes hand in hand with the great disconnect, the disconnect from spirit. As you disconnect from your body, you simultaneously disconnect from your spirit. This disconnect is the sole cause of our current state of disease seen in society today. From the time you were born, you were programmed to abandon your inner world of feelings, sensations, and emotions, because that's what you witnessed around you. You didn't see effective coping mechanisms in place to handle stressful situations or traumatic experiences. You didn't feel safe in your environment to express the wide range of feelings and emotions that your developing mind and body were experiencing. Nor did you feel encouraged to share those feelings and emotions because your parents were too caught up in their own world of stress and busyness. So what did you do? You held them in, unexpressed and fully suppressed. And in burying these feelings and emotions, they got lodged in the tissues of your body, stored as memories from the experience in which you did not allow the energy to flow freely, expressed. This stuck energy creates a sensation that is picked up by your peripheral nervous system and sent back to your brain to be interpreted. Your brain interprets this sensation and responds accordingly, trying to free this stuck energy that's stored in your body. Your sympathetic nervous system activates in an attempt to fight this stuck energy or run, flight from this stuck energy. If this stuck energy is not expressed and freed, guess what? It stays stuck, keeping your nervous system stuck in fight or flight or maybe even freeze. All of this is occurring behind the scenes while your subconscious mind is busy programming itself with the belief systems, societal conditioning, and religious dogma that you observe in your external environment. As a youngin', you assumed that the adults have this reality figured out. So just repeat what they do, right? They're living, they've got it figured out. Rinse, wash, repeat. Let me just repeat what my parents did and what my grandparents did, so on and so on, all the way back. And allow me to remind you that you do this for every aspect of your life, from how you treat your body to how you survive, to the work you are choosing to earn a living, to the relationships you choose, to your spirituality. Your conscious and subconscious mind are like psychic sponges, picking up on everyone's thoughts, feelings, emotions, and programs, storing them as yours without ever questioning them. Are these truly mine? Are they true? Are they real? Would I like to adopt these beliefs and programs? Yes or no? And if no, I can freely toss them out without feeling like I'm going to reject my family or my lineage, without feeling like I'm going to lose my family or lineage if I reject their belief systems, their programs, their ways of being and doing. Many of the belief systems that you wired into your subconscious mind were wired in there before the ages of 7 to 10. And they're not based on truth, but they are running your life on automatic pilot mode and preventing you from reclaiming your body, coming home to your body, living, feeling, loving, healing, and expressing from your higher self, which is your authentic self. A question I always ask is, how can we be authentic if authenticity, the frequency of authenticity, is 4,000 times that of the frequency of unconditional love? How can we be authentic if we are not unconditionally loving ourselves, the good, the bad, the ugly, every thought, feeling, emotion, every sensation, every pain, every symptom? If we do not love ourselves unconditionally, then how in the world can we even begin to be authentic? And this is where society has adopted this whole fake it till you make it. You can't fake authenticity because authenticity is a frequency. It's no different than faking unconditional love. If you do not love your body, how can you fake loving your body? It's just not possible. You can think you are loving your body, but are you truly unconditionally loving your body? If not, you can't fake it. And if you don't unconditionally love you, guess what? You also cannot unconditionally love your partner, your children, your family, others, plants, animals, Mother Earth, the Divine Mother. It all begins with unconditionally loving you. And unconditional love is the gateway to authenticity, because if authenticity is 4,000 times that of unconditional love, well, you have to go through unconditional love to get to authenticity. It's higher on the ladder of frequencies, right? So now, speaking of somatophobia, let's dive deep into the programming around your body. Take a moment, and if your eyes aren't closed, close your eyes right now. Check in. Feel these questions. Reflect on them. What were you taught about your body? What was your mother's relationship with her body like? What was your father's relationship with his body like? Go back into your childhood before the ages of 7 or 10. Do you remember seeing anyone who was fully embodied, who had an amazing relationship with their body. Diving a little bit deeper, what were you taught about sexuality? What were you taught about sensuality? What were you taught about your life force, your Shakti, your feminine essence, your feeling presence, your emotional intelligence? What were you taught about pain and pleasure? In terms of somatophobia and the fear of feeling, the fear of pain, one of the questions that I ask my soul sisters all the time is, what would your relationship with pain be like if you had no recollection, if you had no definition, no preconceived idea or notion of what pain is? Go back into your childhood and remember, that time when you were curious and you went to touch the stove and your mother or father said, "Honey, no, don't do that. That's going to hurt." You just identified, if I touch the stove and it's hot, it's going to burn me, which equates to pain. It's going to hurt. And this is how we link together connections, associations, ideas, beliefs, and programs. If I do this, then this. If I touch a hot stove, I am going to get burnt, which means it's going to be painful, which means I do not want to feel that pain. Have you ever experienced those magical moments where you're just not thinking of the pain and you touch the stove or you open the oven and you pull out, that baking sheet of fresh cookies? I've done it before and I didn't get burnt. It was after the fact my brain kicks in and goes, "That was hot. Check your fingers. Did you get burnt?" Just like a mother. "Oh my God, honey, did you get burnt? You shouldn't have done that. That's going to hurt." This is how we create our reality. And I'll go back, pausing here for a moment. I'll go back into a memory of mine from a chiropractic retreat with trailblazer of a chiropractor, Dr. Arno himself. First trimester of chiropractic college. And in biology class, I had shared with my best friend, do you know what would be awesome? A retreat for chiropractors. And I let it go just like that. Never even investigated, looked, thought about a retreat for chiropractors. The next day, kid you not, my best friend comes into biology class, hands me a brochure. "Shelly, guess what my intern found? She just shared with me this brochure. There is a retreat for chiropractors." That evening, signed up, booked, my flight was booked. I was going to this retreat. And in this retreat, I walked on hot coals, not just once, but a few times. I signed up for more because I'm like, this is awesome. I can conquer my ego, not even mind. We oftentimes say mind over matter. It's actually the ego. The ego says, if you walk on those hot coals, do you see how orange they are? Do you see the fire coming off of them? Your feet are most definitely going to get burnt. And the ego tells us that. Why? Because if we conquer the ego, if we conquer that fear of, "Oh my God, I'm going to get burnt if I walk on these hot coals," the ego loses power and control over us. And the ego does not want to lose power and control over us. So coming back to what you've decided is impossible, what you've connected together as a belief, as a program, without ever questioning, is this true? Does it have to be true for me? Because our higher selves are multidimensional by nature. There's no limitations to our higher selves. So if we are believing that to be true, then we are actually limiting that of our higher self, the infiniteness of our higher self. The majority of the population bought into the programming that bodies are wrong. Bodies are sinful. Bodies are shameful. Bodies are limited, and something definitely not to be enjoyed in their full capacity for pleasure. And I'll pause it right there and share that the pleasure that you know, the superficial pleasure that you call pleasure, that you experience and feel from your ego state, from your trauma self state, from a disembodied, disconnected, disassociated, divorced, mind and body divorced, delusional, diseased state. We call sex pleasure? We call orgasms pleasure? That is not pleasure. That is pleasure experienced in a lower state of consciousness. Now imagine, what does pleasure in a higher state of consciousness feel like? Well, I could share it with you, but you may not understand it because you haven't felt it, because all you know is superficial pleasure. Multidimensional pleasure is actually scary. And this is the biggest cosmic joke. This is the biggest lie that we have given our power to. This is the biggest fear that we've given our power to. We're not afraid of death. We're afraid of living. We're afraid of feeling. Because that multidimensional pleasure, the pleasure of my higher self, if you were to experience that right now, it would literally feel like you went up to an electrical outlet, you stuck your finger in, and you are just every cell, every molecule, every tissue, every organ in your body is vibrating. Imagine the most intense numbness, tingling, arms, feet, falling asleep where you can't feel them, but everything's just buzzing, 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 and it's so intense you want it to stop. That is truly what your multidimensional pleasure feels like. But you see, when your arms or your feet fall asleep, it's that, oh, my arm's asleep, it's numb, it's tingly, I need to wake it up. That feeling is actually what it feels like to be fully alive, fully turned on, connected to source, higher self, fully embodied, experiencing what I call a cosmic orgasm. But you see, we can't feel that if we're so attached to experiencing and feeling superficial pleasure in this lower state of consciousness that we are in. We can't feel that from our Kunda buffer state, which is the evil twin of Kundalini. We can't feel that when we're disembodied, when all we feel is maybe a little tingly in our womb or hara, when we're so focused on expelling our life force, our Shakti, in an unconscious orgasm or ejaculation, we will never be able to feel the higher pleasure that actually requires us to abstain from that superficial pleasure, to abstain from unconscious sex, unconscious orgasms, unconscious ejaculation. Pleasure is on the other side of pain, and it's truly the fear of feeling this immense and intense amount of pleasure. That's truly what we are afraid of. We're afraid of feeling. We're afraid of being alive. We're not afraid of death. But being alive is on the other side of pain. And the ego is super afraid of pain because guess what? You're going to reclaim space, power, safety, agency, and control and connection with your body. In your body, at the time of trauma unhealed leaves pain behind, just like scar tissue. That pain prevents you from feeling the spaciousness that exists without that pain, without that unhealed trauma, without that stuck energy. Without that stuck energy of that unhealed trauma, there's space. You can actually feel pleasure. There's space for your higher self to be embodied so you can be present and aware, feeling all of the joys of life. So all of this programming about the body that's been perpetuated by religion, The body is a sinful place to be. It's shameful. It's taboo. It's dirty. The body's not a safe place to be. Feel in, call forth all those beliefs and programs about your body. Look at them, question them, meet them, feel them. Because they're not just beliefs and programs stored up here. They're also stored in your body as stuck energy. So all of these memories, all of these associations, just like I said, are stored in your body. You may have noticed a sensation or a feeling in your body as you called forth those memories, as you called forth those beliefs, those programs, those stories, those associations. You may have even felt an emotion arise. Maybe you got frustrated, like, shit, I've given my power to this belief that doesn't work for me, that actually keeps me disconnected from my higher self and my multidimensional pleasure that is 1,000, if not 4,000 times more powerful than the superficial pleasure that I've called pleasure. I've abused myself by denying myself my higher self. Meet that emotion, whatever it is, anger, rage, frustration, guilt, regret, sadness, shame, fear, whatever it is, meet it. This is how you begin healing the fear of your body. This is how you begin healing these stuck energies that manifest as pain, symptoms, repetitive triggers, blockages in your life, in your work, in your relationship, in your flow of wealth and abundance. This is the first step in regaining awareness and connection with your body. To continue down the path of why very few people are fully embodying their body is that these suppressed feelings, emotions, and memories were compounded and entangled with the emotional scars from experiences in which you needed something, yet that need was never met. These are called childhood wounds, and they are a form of trauma that occurs before the age of 7. In any situation where you may have felt like you were abandoned, threatened, unworthy, not good enough, betrayed, rejected, imperfect, unlovable, wronged, hurt, a burden, or a failure. You stored all those thoughts, feelings, and emotions away in your subconscious mind and unconscious mind, as well as storing them away in your body. Despite many of these experiences not being intentional, as your parents were doing the very best that they could to raise you while not knowing how to cope with their own traumas and wounds, they live at the center of what you believe to be true about yourself. They cause you to believe that you have to change who you truly are in order to be loved, accepted, safe, and validated in this big, crazy, chaotic world. And you do have to change who you are. Because you got to change from your trauma self to your higher self. So, for example, in an attempt to get your father's attention, you may have become what you thought he wanted you to become, which stunted your growth into an individual masculine expression. And you may have bought the programming that in order for him to love you, you have to do something. This installed the you have to do in order to receive chip that keeps you spinning on the hamster wheel of the false matrix. Or maybe in an attempt to get your mother's love, you may have internalized her unconscious beliefs and limitations, which automatically became yours, thereby stunting your growth into your individual feminine expression. As a form of loyalty and emotional survival, in rejecting these beliefs and limitations, your mother may view it as rejection. And how dare you reject her, right? Then comes the guilt trip, which then installed the people-pleasing chip that makes it difficult for you to express yourself authentically and unapologetically. Childhood wounds are at the root of codependency, low self-worth, fear of rejection, insecurities, jealousy, fear of success or failure, addictions, lack of trust, poverty consciousness, depression, and toxic relationship patterns, just to name a few. Stress hormones get released and get stuck in your body, resulting in the reactivation of the trauma through your nervous system by certain situations, smells, songs, reactions, words, etc. And even if the trauma is no longer occurring, you still cannot find peace because the experience was never fully integrated. Basically, it froze in place and it got stuck. So, over the next 2 months, in my weekly womb kriya cannabis ceremonies, in my newly launched somatic cannabis guided meditation and breathwork ceremony, and in this month's womb steam ceremony, we're dancing with the same theme, abuse. Because we've all been abused one way or another, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, sexual, energetic, spiritual abuse. We've all experienced abuse. And to truly heal abuse, we have to go into the body. We cannot heal abuse from the mind, from our ego, trauma self, because during that experience of abuse, at the moment of that experience of abuse, the body felt something. It felt pain, it felt feelings, it felt emotions. And your soul, your higher self, knows no pain. Your higher self or soul is pure. And to remain pure or innocent, an aspect of your soul or higher self fleed from the scene of the abuse to avoid feeling that full impact of pain. Well, with an aspect of your soul fleeing from the scene, what do you think that creates in the body? Creates a void space. What do you think fills in that void space? Remember that scar tissue I mentioned earlier? Pain, stuck energies. That's what fills in that void space. Well, the void space, because your higher self is no longer controlling that space in your body, your higher self no longer has agency, no longer feels safe to be in that part of your body, because that's the point of abuse. That void space needs a command center, a control center. Well, if your higher self is not controlling that void space from your divine mind, well, then the ego creates a false identity called a trauma self. This trauma self becomes the control center in your reptilian brain that now controls, manages, looks over from way up here, that void space way down here. And until you retrieve that aspect of your soul, until you free and liberate those stuck energies where that abuse got lodged and stuck in your body, you will never be free from all the ways you self-abuse. Because I've got to let you in on a little secret. We create experiences of abuse, not for shits and giggles, but to heal. Because we were born into lineages of abuse. Look and feel into all the abuse your parents experienced, self-created, passed down to you, all the ways they weren't emotionally or physically available to you, for you. That is a version of abuse. So what happens is, no matter what age we created experiences of abuse at, we created that abuse so that we could feel the pain of it in an attempt to wake us up enough to go, I don't want to feel that pain. I don't want to keep living disembodied because I have all these void spaces in my body from abuse. And as long as there are void spaces in your body from abuse, the trauma selves that were created as these control centers, navigating, managing, controlling these void spaces, they are going to continue this loop of abuse, creating abuse in external circumstances with other people, and keeping you stuck in loops and patterns of toxic behaviors, toxic stories, toxic defense systems, toxic addictions, toxic coping mechanisms, which are all forms of self-abuse. So the root cause of abuse is to get us to feel all the ways we abuse ourselves. For example, my father wasn't physically, mentally, or emotionally present. He was devoted to his work. And due to the dysfunctional relationship he had with my mother, he didn't want to be at home. My grandparents were at my house from 5 in the morning till 10, 11 o'clock at night. He had no privacy. So he didn't want to come home. He managed 2, 3, 4 businesses just to keep himself busy. So in all the ways that I felt that my father wasn't there, he didn't show up for my events, my this, my that, whatever, all the ways that then I held myself back from telling him my truth, from speaking unconditional love. In healing that, guess what? I had to look at myself and go, wow, so he wasn't physically, emotionally, mentally available for me. Where am I not physically, mentally, and emotionally available for me? That he was just mirroring to me. I chose him to be that way so I could feel the pain of that, so I could heal all of that pain that I self-inflict. Because it truly is all about me. It's my reality. So instead of looking at this person or my mother or my father abused me, how many times have you replayed that story of how someone abused you, how someone abandoned you, betrayed you, rejected you, shamed you, judged you, wronged you, whatever? How many times have you replayed that story over and over and over and over again? So that first initial experience of quote unquote abuse is that initial dagger. And then every time you replay that story, you're shoving that dagger in again and again and again and again. And if that story is on repeat every single day, you are shoving that dagger in you every single day, abusing yourself more and more and more while hanging on to that one initial abuse experience without being able to see, shit, I'm abusing myself every single day by holding on to this, by not dropping into my body, by not conquering my ego, by not overcoming the fear, by not being willing to go into all of these deep, dark places in my somatic basement, my womb or hara, by not being willing to explore all those stories and all the attachments of what occurred during that initial abuse experience, by not looking at and seeing all the ways I self-abuse that really that initial abuse experience is reflecting to me so I can heal all the ways I abuse myself. So with that being said, for the next 2 months, maybe longer, in all of my group ceremonies hosted over Zoom, we are going to be diving deep into abuse and all the ways that we self-abuse. Beginning with the replaying of an initial abuse experience, that core abuse experience that you just can't let go of. What is it mirroring to you? What is it reflecting to you? What does it have to teach you so you can get it and overcome it and rise into your higher self and retrieve your higher self to pull your higher self home to your body? So if you enjoyed today's live, if you received something from this weekly dose of higher wisdom, please comment it on whatever platform you are viewing this live from. Ask questions, share whatever arose for you, or reach out privately. I am here for your healing journey. If you do not have your own copy of Somatophobia is available on Amazon. My next book reading of Somatophobia is November 22nd. And if you have not attended a somatic ceremonial book reading, it is this on steroids. While my amazing husband plays his didgeridoo, a harmonica, a sound bowl, and other musical instruments. I share passages from Somatophobia, guiding you into your body to feel the vibrational transmission of the words that I shared in this book, this self-healing manual, the Sacred Cannabis Bible. So the next one is Friday, November 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern. It is a sacred cannabis ceremony. If you've not met cannabis in a sacred ceremony, if you've not met her higher self, then this is a beautiful introduction to meeting cannabis in a sacred ceremony. I also have some exciting news. On Wednesday, November 13th, I am also launching a monthly guided somatic meditation and breathwork ceremony. This is also another introductory level ceremony to sacred cannabis, meeting her higher power in sacred ceremony with rituals, with an intention to drop into your body, to meet all those stuck energies that are showing up with the intention, which will be abuse, and to heal them, remembering how you can use your life force, your inner healer, your Shakti, to heal those stuck energies, to retrieve your soul, and to truly become embodied, to open your inner eye and become fully alive, not just walking through life with your eyes open, but being asleep. And then on Sunday, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern as well, for all of my soul sisters, I will be guiding you in a womb steam ceremony where we will be burning away all those stored, stuck energies of abuse and self-abuse from our sacred and holy wombs. And in this womb steam ceremony, we are not just steaming our wombs, we are also steaming the throat, nose, ears, eyes, belly button. We're steaming the entire temple body and every orifice, every entrance into the temple body. So, if you desire to join me and meet the higher power of cannabis in one of these sacred cannabis ceremonies, all of the information can be found on my social media channels or on my website. And I look forward to guiding you home to you. You are your inner healer. You are your own guru. And you are your own shaman. I am merely here to guide you in remembering how to be your own healer, guru, and shaman. Thank you all for joining me today in this live. I look forward to hearing your comments, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and feedback. And I would be absolutely honored to guide you in a sacred ceremony. I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a beautiful and blessed day.